First reading for today is from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verses 15 through 20. See, I have set before you today life and good, death and evil. If you obey the commandments of the Lord your God that I command you today, by loving the Lord your God, by walking in his ways and by keeping his commandments and his statutes and his rules, then you shall live and multiply, and the Lord your God will bless you in the land that you are entering to take possession of it. But if your heart turns away and you will not hear, but are drawn away to worship other gods and serve them, I declare to you today that you shall surely perish. You shall not live long in the land that you are going over the Jordan to enter and possess. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore choose life, that you and your offspring may live, loving the Lord your God, obeying his voice, and holding fast to him. For he is your life and length of days, that you may dwell in the land that the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The psalm is from 119, verses 1 through 8. Blessed are those whose way is blameless, who walk in the law of the Lord. Blessed are those who keep his testimonies, who seek him with their whole heart, who also do no wrong, but walk in his ways. You have commanded your precepts to be kept diligently.
Blessed are those whose way is blameless, who walk in the law of the Lord.
Oh, that my ways may be steadfast in keeping your statutes. Then I shall not be put to shame, having my eyes fixed on all your commandments. I will praise you with an upright heart when I learn your just and righteous decrees. I will keep your statutes. Do not utterly forsake me.
Blessed are those whose way is blameless, who walk in the law of the Lord.
Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. The second reading is from 1 Corinthians 3, verses 1 through 9. But I, brothers, could not address you as a spiritual people, but as people of the flesh, as infants in Christ. I fed you with milk, not solid food, for you were not ready for it. And even now you are not yet ready, for you are still of the flesh. For while there is jealousy and strife among you, are you not of the flesh, and behaving only in a human way? For when one says, I follow Paul, and another, I follow Apollos, are you not merely being human? What then is Apollos? What is Paul? Servants through whom you believed, as the Lord assigned to each. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither he who plants nor he who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. He who plants and he who waters are one, and each will receive his wages according to his labor. For we are God's fellow workers. You are God's field, God's building. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Chapter. Glory to you, O Lord. Jesus said, You have heard that it said to those of old, You shall not murder, and whoever murders will be liable to judgment. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Whoever insults his brother will be liable to the council, and whoever says you fool will be liable to the hell of fire. So So if you are offering your gift at the altar and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are going with him to court, lest your accuser hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the guard, and you be put in prison. Truly I say to you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. And you have heard that it was said that you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out, throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off, throw it away. For it's better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body go into hell. It was also said that whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you that everyone who divorces his wife, except on the grounds of sexual immorality, makes her commit adultery. And whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Again, you have heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not swear falsely, but shall perform to the Lord what you have sworn. But I say to you, do not take an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. And do not take an oath by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black. Let what you say be simply yes or no. Anything more than this comes from evil. This is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
Please be seated. Tell you didn't know that hymn. First two verses, flaky. When you have a new hymn like that, look in your book and follow the note. It's easier than up there. It's much easier for you to do that. So anyway, grace and peace from God our Father and His Son Jesus Christ our Lord.
Amen. Amen.
You know, last was the last week. Groundhog Day was the last week. Week before last. Anyway, on that day, I received a text from my buddy who lives in Florida. And the text said that the Pawtuxet Phil declared that there's 6 more weeks of Florida. Don't we wish? He lives down by Tampa. It's absolutely gorgeous down there. So, last week we heard we're salt of the earth, light of the world. Talked about that. And today we're continuing Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. All of the 5th chapter is that. And we see a glimpse of more teachable moments that he was teaching us. And he was teaching that not only to us, but to his disciples. And that's nothing new, by the way. Ever since they were young Jewish boys and girls, they knew the law of Moses. We don't. My heavens. They knew exactly what they were doing. And that was supposed to guide their living. Blessed, Beatitudes, salt, light. They're great descriptions. And today he raises the bar, like when you're doing the high jump, it goes up a notch and a notch, and then he eliminates those. And we're going to be eliminated now on this one. It'll go up a notch or two, and we see that I just read from 22, verse 27, verse 28, verse 31. You got a Bible in front of you, look it up. And these are tough words. Jesus is creating greater laws, along with creating new behavior, new character in his people. For as follows, Jesus wanted more. That's what he wanted. He wanted more. More kindness, more honesty, much more compassion than they were showing. We find Jesus abolishing practices that have been around for thousands of years. I grew up in a small town in northern Illinois, McHenry, Illinois to be exact. And a buddy of mine slipped into the drugstore. Back in those days, they called them drugstores, by the way. You can't do that now. Are you kidding me? Lord. But we snuck into the drugstore, and he took a Mounds bar out and put it in his pocket and put a Snicker bar in my back pocket. I didn't know he did it, but then I felt it sliding in there, And back in those days, the little saying was, for a nickel, you get a snick. And back in those days, the candy bars were pretty big. Were they not? We say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you're young, forget it. You don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the Snicker bar was 2 feet long. A foot long, maybe 6 inches long.
6 inches.
And it was thick, too. Real thick. And he slid in my pocket, and we started walking out, and the pharmacist caught us. Caught dead to rights. We had to pull the candy bars out. I said, nice going, Randy, you know what? And he says, you got to tell your parents and let them know exactly what you did. Follow me. So we had to follow him. And back in those days, we were much more compliant.
Yeah.
Weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went in there and he what's your, he points to Randy, my buddy. What? And his mom says, what? What? You can hear it over the phone, I'm coming down to get you. Knowing Randy's mom and dad, he got a good one for a 10-cent candy bar. So I gave him my aunt's phone number. And back in the day, there was no such thing as what? Voice, mail. And who wants to leave a message on the phone? That's ridiculous. Because then you got to call them back. See, it causes more problems. Anyway, nobody answered because I knew she was working, and I know my Uncle Will was working, and I know my cousin wasn't there because she was in school. And I said, I promise. I'll tell my dad when he comes home tonight. I never did. I'm 74 and a half right now. And that happened when I was about 15 or 16. I never told my dad because I would have been disemboweled. I would have had my legs broken and grounded for 19 years. I'd still be grounded if I know my dad right. So I never did, And I just violated verse 33. Again, you have heard that it's not to those of old, you shall not swear falsely, but shall perform to the Lord what you have sworn. So I've been forgiven over the Snicker bar for a fact, but never over the lie. And believe me, whenever I read this, and I read this a lot, believe me, when I went through that, I remember that story. Oh, I'll tell my dad. I promise. I'll tell my daddy. Never did. Never, ever did. Verse 33 has hung me all these years. Because I swore that I would call my dad. Did you ever wonder how this whole idea of swearing or taking oath, I don't use swearing in a bad way. I don't say if you say a bad word, that's swearing. That's not true at all. You ever wonder where, you see on TV where you place your hand on the Bible and then you swear to speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yeah, where'd that come from? It came from an assumption that all people lie. All people, and don't you dare stand and tell me that you don't. Because you do it all the time.
Every day.
Pardon?
Every day.
Every day and almost every hour. We do it. There was a poll taken a couple years ago, and it said that about only 30% of the people say they ever told the truth. It's easier to lie. It is. And when someone thinks that you're lying, they say, do you swear? Do you swear by God? Or do you swear on your mother's grave? That always gets it. Do you cross your heart and hope to die? You've learned that back in the day. And somehow we figure that if we invoke Mom's grave, that'll help us. Yet we swear to God and still lie. And we still do it. We're using God's honor to deceive someone else. And that's what this is talking about here. All along we thought that the second commandment meant that we're not supposed to spit out the name of the Lord when we cut ourselves. You ever been down and have the door open on the upper cabinet open a little bit? You bend down and then you stand straight up. What happened to me in my buddy's house? I got so mad I tore the cabinet off the freaking wall! How dare it put a crease in the back of my head? God, that cost me a fortune to get that thing back in because I tore the door off too and all the plates that were in there. Wow! Luther had it right when he wrote in the Catechism, small catechism, we're to fear and love God so that we do not use His name superstitiously, to use it to curse or to lie, to swear or to deceive. Gee, you remember that in your catechism? Everybody say yes.
Yes.
Oh, come on.
Yes. Yes. The old catechism.
What?
The old catechism.
It is the old catechism.
No.
It hasn't changed much over the last 500 years.
The one I had to memorize.
Oh, that's an old one. With you, that's an old one. Lord, have mercy. You don't even remember your catechism. You don't even know what the word is, probably.
Some of us do. We had to memorize it. We had to.
All right. Here it comes.
Second commandment.
Wife of Stephen. I won't put you on the spot.
Oh, please do.
Most I'm done with this sermon. Amen. And the peace of God which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus our Lord.
I had to learn.
I don't want to hear anymore.
It's
You
ingrained.
had to.
My parents and the church we went to.
Oh, Lord.
It was not an option.
Is there really a person like you in the church nowadays? I don't think so. You know I love you, Beverly. You know that.
But what's
I'll get
interesting
you
is
later.
I still remember.
All right, calm down. I got 4 whole pages to do yet. So, let me skip ahead a little bit. So we had that thrown in there. What's Jesus' antidote for swearing? What is it? What is it? You ever ask yourself what it is? I can tell you right now. Say the gospel. Say yes or no. Yes or no. You know, you ask people, are you going to be in church on Sunday? Maybe. That's a no. Say no! I already know it's a no. Don't mind me, see? No, I will not be there on Sunday. But I will be the next week. Okay, I hold you to that. Say yes or no. That's what Jesus asks us to do. Say yes or no. I like the old Norwegian story. God, I love Norwegian stories. Here's an old Lena story, you know. Don't you know? You know? Not only it's Lars, he's even better. Right? Lena says to Lars, you don't say to me that you love me anymore. And Lars says to Lena, I told you 50 years ago that I love you. That should be enough. And when it doesn't happen, I'll be glad to tell you that. Lars was a truth teller. Lars today would be in the minority. He told the truth. Lena wanted to know. He told the truth. Truth telling has become an all-time low. And spinning the truth has become an art form for all politicians. Sorry, I got to say all. Oh my Lord, this whole impeachment stuff, I'm not going to get into that, don't ask me to, but oh my gosh. Oh. You know what, but before that whole thing hit, the approval level of a politician was at 6%. It is now, I just heard this here today, it is now at an all-time low, 2.5% of the American people believe that what their senators and representatives are saying are really the truth. That's sad. Corporate executives love to fleece stockholders by their fuzzy accounting system. I'll make a comment right now, but I better not, because it'll be like our Bible study class today. And then you mentioned the word all over.
Oh, there.
You know? In the book, They America Told the Truth, 2 out of 3 Americans believe that there is nothing wrong with lying. 2 out of 3. And that book was written in 2016. I said at the very beginning of the sermon, and I'm at the very end, by the way, so you get relaxed, that at the beginning of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, we gained a glimpse into the teachable moments that Jesus had with his disciples. In fact, we gain a very nice glimpse of Jesus' teaching to us as well. Because it was very important for Jesus to tell his disciples in the very first century. And it's certainly important for us in the 21st century to hear the very same things. And the message is very simple. Be truth tellers. Be truth tellers. Yes means yes, and no means no. It's that simple. But that hard. It's that difficult. Most of us can't do that. Because most of us are afraid of offending someone. You know? I love to offend people, kid. Because guess what? It's not my problem. It's your problem. If you're offended, that's your problem. And I didn't cause you to do that. We can't cause each other to offend each other. So when you give your word, for heaven's sake, live your word. Then after 40 or 50 or perhaps 60 years, you'll have gained the reputation of being a truth teller. Then you can be honest about that candy bar you stole all those years ago, and the candy bar, the one that God has forgiven me for. You can be honest about all those things. And so may the peace of God, which passes all our understanding, keep your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen. And that's a fact. Amen. Let's stand. I believe in God the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, and in Jesus Christ, his Son, our Lord, who was conceived by the Holy Spirit,
born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. He descended into hell. The third day he rose again from the dead. He ascended to heaven and sits at the right hand of God the Father Almighty. From thence he will come to judge the living and the dead. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Catholic Church, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and the life everlasting. Amen.
I have